Mm. It's the last podcast of the semester. Welcome. It's Western Star Movie Podcast. Guy, person, man, human. Welcome. This is the last one for the semester, so there will be probably a very probably like a couple week hiatus of that, and by the time I return, it'll probably be the first video of mine will probably be maybe the best and worst of January 2023. I don't know, but mainly it will be the top 10 best and the top 10 worst movies of 2023. This has been a doozy, to say the least. This year has been a really interesting one. But before I get into it, I just want to say for the people who have been watching the podcast, caring, actually, like giving one. Thank you, you know, for this semester, and next semester will be the last one. It's actually gonna be the last one I'm ever gonna do, and I'm gonna think about maybe doing YouTube to talk about movies. Try, you know, but this has been an interesting ride. Uh, so yeah, so let's get into the actual like real reason why I think we are all here, and that is to talk about November. November, it's officially out, and we are 1 month away from the end of 2023 and moving on to 2024. And man, it's been an interesting year or an interesting month because November had all these movies that were just so awesome and anticipating for many other people. And they kind of fell flat. A lot of movies fell flat. Certain movies I did not see because I just didn't think they looked good. Like Trolls Band Together, I was never gonna see that movie. I didn't think it was gonna look good. It was just a stupid film. Um, and then Wish, I just didn't check out completely. If it's on Disney Plus, I might, whatever, but it's not gonna be included here. The Holdovers, I wanted to watch. I didn't know it was still playing in theaters. I heard it's great. Gotta watch that by the end of this year to, get a good idea on if that movie's good or not and if it'll be Oscar nominated. And obviously, the other one, what was the other one? Well, no, that's it. I think I've seen every November movie that I have on my list, and I am looking forward to December. I haven't seen Silent Night yet. The first week, I think I had to move my list around because there are other films I have scheduled that I'm going to check out. So, with that in mind, with everything said about the list, let's actually get into this. The 12 movies of November 2023. So, again, keep in mind it's subjective opinion, personal list. If there's a movie on here that I probably forgot, which I know I have, it's fine. It'll be probably I would probably edit it in a way, but overall this is the list that I have that really tells you what my list of the best movies of the year would be. So let's get into it. All right. Coming in dead last at number 12 to me is a movie I actually didn't think I wanted to put on this list, but I forgot I have Paramount Plus, so I wanted to put it on here. And it's Good Burger 2. Now look, It really just depends on if you are a nostalgic person on any film, whether or not it is, you know, old school shows, old movies, whatever. The point I'm making is that sometimes movie sequels, like 30 plus years in advance, like 20 or 30 plus years, are never a good idea because it's lost its fan base. They haven't cared. And to bring new people back into it, it's just off and weird. And that's pretty much the same thing I had to say with Good Burger 2. It's just it's a stupid movie, and it's not even stupid in the sense like, "Oh, it's a good stupid movie." It's just a dumb stupid movie. Like, and really the best thing about the movie, really, and I say best because it's really the only thing that this movie really has to offer, is that of the chemistry between Kel Mitchell and what's its face? Kenan Thompson. Those 2 really are the, the center piece of this entire film. They really are the main thing that this movie has. Other than that, you have forgettable characters, un uninteresting dialogue, jokes that completely fall flat, and a villain that is completely cartoonish. And I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it just felt off to me. It felt off in the worst way possible because I don't have a lot of nostalgia for Good Burger, the original, but man, this was not a good movie. It's one of the worst I have seen this year by far. So at number 12, I can't believe it. 12 movies, right? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. 11. Sorry, 11 movies. Sorry. Did I cut out one? Oh, I did. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so 11 movies. So not my bad. So at number 11, last, it doesn't matter. At dead last is Good Burger 2. Okay. At number 10 is The Marvels. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a very bad, this is not a good movie. And I know everybody has their things of like, "Oh, well, did you have fun with the movie?" If you didn't have fun, if you had fun with the movie, then you didn't hate it. You thought it was fun, right? And I'm not pointing out anybody, but there are some decent quality action sequences and some good funny jokes that do land. But as a whole, this is a movie that struggles not only in the editing part department, but story wise, this movie's terrible. In terms of a story, even weeks after this film has been released, I still have no idea what the movie's about. A villain comes, takes powers, and conquers a planet. That's it. I don't know. Oh, and Captain Marvel and the other two have to help save the day. Like that's really all you have to do. It's a standard superhero kind of in a way. It's kind of a standard superhero story that you've seen a billion times. It's nothing new. It's nothing fresh. It's just there. Which also brings me to the other problem I have with the movie. It's unnecessary. I mean, we're talking about a Captain Marvel sequel that is unnecessary. The first Captain Marvel's fine. You don't need another sequel. I mean, was it really that popular? Oh, because it grossed $1 billion to get like, oh, we're gonna make another film. Not really. Not really. So To me, it's a movie that struggles so badly with writing, editing. There are some there are some cringy ass moments in this movie. There really are some cringy moments that I was like, that is ridiculously bad. So yeah, man, I don't know. This was not it. So at number 10, Marvels. At number 9 is Napoleon. Man, did this movie frustrate me because this is the same thing I say a lot about certain films that disappoint. It's certain parts are better than the actual whole. Like what I mean by that is you have great action sequences. Like the battle sequences are riveting, they're brutal, they're visceral, they are incredible. And some of the dialogue between the characters is awesome. And the set pieces are so good, the costumes, the scenery, everything. It's a visually stunning masterpiece. That is until you actually dive into what's really going on, and that is the rest of the film is absolutely weak Ridley Scott. This because here's the thing with Ridley Scott. Sometimes you can either get like The Martian Ridley Scott, which was a fantastic film, one of his best in years, or you can get something like Exodus Gods and Kings or the House of Gucci. You can get one of those where it's not as good and it should be great. And that's the problem with this movie. It should be good and great, but it's not. It's actually quite a bad movie. The way the editing of this movie is, this is a very dull, unfocused, wonky, weirdly written mess. Like, there's some weird writing in this movie. I obviously can't say it because it's not appropriate, but whatever writing was going through the writing room table, it didn't work. Whatever's going on in their heads, it just didn't work. And then the movie sort of ends on a whimper, and the pacing. Oh my god. Apparently the new norm for movies this year was 2.5 hours, and this movie felt like 3 hours long, and it's 2.5. Actually, no, it's 2 hours and 38 minutes, and it feels long. It feels so clustered and draggy. It doesn't flow properly. I think the performances are great. Vanessa Kirby, great. Joaquin Phoenix, incredible. But just the movie they're in, it should have been a better film than it was. And I'm not one to say that I would honestly go lower with my score, but I'm not going to. So yeah. So at number 9 is Thanksgiving. This is a movie to me that, like, when I first saw the trailer, I thought this was Eli Roth. I've seen some of his pitch before. I haven't watched every single movie. I've seen his work. It's not a good track record. And he's doing a slasher film with actors who are portraying high schoolers. I am not impressed. I am not looking forward to this movie. And then the reviews started coming out and they were actually like, "Oh, by the way, it's actually really good." And so I was kind of late to the party to check this movie out. And so I finally watched it over Thanksgiving. It's fine. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's just a fine movie. It's not great, it's not good, it's just okay. Part of that is due to the fact that I did connect with this. There's a story, like, immediately when the movie starts, like, there's a scene that happens that kinda sets the tone where if you remember, take it back years ago when the Pittsburgh Steelers started out their season on a perfect note, 11-0 or 13-0, I don't know what it was, and they obviously lost a couple games, and then they versed the Browns in the wild card race, and they got absolutely destroyed, and the Browns were like, "Oh, we're gonna set a message for you because we're actually better than you." It's like that. It goes crazy. Like, the first couple minutes go crazy, and that kinda sets the tone up. And then the movie happens, and then the actual, like, plot kind of thrives, or I would it sets in motion, and from there, I just thought the movie got ridiculously stupid. Like, the cliches started to roll in, the some of the performances, I could honestly tell you were not really that good. The characters are awful. I don't care about the character because the thing that happens in this movie is that a Black Friday massacre happens. Well, the movie's been out, so spoiler alert, I'm gonna spoil what happens in the movie. So, apparently one of the kids in the group knows the person or knows somebody that owns a store or the owner and lets them in, and it kinda causes a commotion outside, and it just so happens to get a lot of people killed. So, really, the main characters aren't really that smart, and they're kind of like I mean, I'm it's my last show, but I mean, they do kind of act like a bunch of pricks. Like, you do realize that you're all like scared as hell, but you did cause this. And the movie could have done something completely different, and I've been like, well, it's not really their fault. It's just this guy's a maniac. But it's not really the case. The kills are great. They're graphic. They're brutal. If you're squirmish, you might not like this one. But I did appreciate some of the performances. I don't know who the person was who played Jessica, the main character, but she was good. Whoever played Scoob, love that character. Scoob is amazing. Whoever played the black guy who played Scoob was amazing. He it was that was the only those were the only two characters I cared about. Everybody else I could think like, you know what? You could die. I could not give anything. I wouldn't give a crap if you died. I would have been like, all right, let's go on with the movie. And Patrick Dempsey was good, but the writing is really where this movie struggles. And I know I'm not the biggest social media guy. I don't really like social media. I don't like TikTok, even though I do have an account. I don't use it. But Addison Rae's in this movie. And honestly, she's not bad in the movie. She's just freaking useless. She doesn't do anything. Her character is virtually you take her out of the film, doesn't matter because who cares? She adds nothing to the movie. I know it's like, oh, social media, so let's make the teenagers come out to see this movie. It's like, no, no, you don't. So a movie I think has some decent strengths, but the flaws are the flaws, and they really damage it. In a thumbs up or thumbs down kind of way, I would say slight thumbs down. I would say that. Um, at number 7, and I bet I'm gonna trigger some of my old high school classmates for this one, but it's The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. A movie that I was never looking forward to, and then I heard the reviews were like, "Yeah, they're kind of mixed," and I didn't take my father to see this movie. I took my uncle to see this movie, and he thought it was actually pretty good. And I think it's okay. It's definitely a movie where you can tell there's a great movie in here, but then they just do these ridiculous things that kind of just ruin it. The performances are fantastic. Tom Blythe is a star. I'm honestly down to see whatever this kid does next. He is a superstar, and I am ready for whatever movie he does next. He is amazing. Um, yeah. But I mean, this movie is really visually it looks like a good movie, and I do like the visceral style, with like the close camera, the close like shots of the action, and the draw like the footage capturing the characters. It works. Rachel Zegler's great. The Hunger Games arena part itself is great. The build up to seeing Snow turn into this madman that he is. We know him. It's fantastic. But this movie's got some pacing issues, much like Napoleon. And it's weird. I thought this movie was paced better than Napoleon, and this movie's longer by 7 freaking minutes. But this movie's way too long. I mean, like 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's the new norm. If your movie, if Hollywood, if your movie's not 2 hours long, then it doesn't really count. It doesn't. It shouldn't count as a movie. If it's an hour and 50 minutes, doesn't really count. It's not a good movie. If it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long or more, yes, that's a movie. Like that's the new norm we're doing nowadays. It's like, really? I mean, we just had 2 3-hour films this year, probably going to be nominated for Best Picture. But like, man, I was not a fan of this movie. That I didn't hate it. That's the hold on. Let me rephrase that. I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. Also, the movie tries to have a reason for this relationship to work between Lucy Gray and Coriolanus. Uh, something with anus at the end, Snow. But the relationship is very, very weak. And the way they kind of turn Snow like mad and be like, "Oh, he's this evil person," like because this dude's gonna have to go like insane. And the way they do it and the way it's paced so quickly and rushed, I just was like, You had something right there and you just screwed up." So it's a movie with good parts, but man, the bad part, like I said with Thanksgiving, the bad parts just really pissed me off and didn't do this movie justice. So at number, what are we at? We're at, hold on, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. 7. Okay. Okay. At number 6, now that we're getting into just a little FYI, everything including this movie is a B or higher. Actually, I forgot to add in. Let's throw there. Right? Yeah. Okay. Hold on a second. Wait, how many movies do I have left? Hmm? Hold on a second. Did I mess up something? I think I did. Hold on a second. Wait, where's? Let me rephrase this real quick. No, I definitely. Right? Wait. Screw it. Okay, that's what. Oh, wait, hold on. Was this somebody viewed my TikTok profile? I don't know. All right, all right. Now let's get into the actual like good movies that we have. Yeah. So at number six, Quiz Lady, and I found this to be a very enjoyable comedy. It's on Hulu right now, and the premise is this woman who has a rough relationship with her mother and sister realize, oh, her mother's been taken or her mother's missing, and these people that are supposed to get paid by her mother steal their dog, and so they have to compete in a quiz game show, which she's really good at. And it stars Aquafina and Sandra Oh. And I thought this was a pleasantly fun, entertaining sort of comedy. Is it breaking the comedy ground? Not really. Doesn't really do that, but I can recommend. But what I can say is it does feel very, very good. Like it feels like a very it feels like a comedy that would be funny back in the early 2000s, and it does remind me. It's a good comedy. It is one of the better comedies that we had because I mean, honestly, there are some comedies that I've seen this year that have been very bad, or just some movies that honestly I don't think have been good. But, but make no mistake, sound over there. Make no mistake, this is a funny comedy that does work. So I will give credit for this movie. So at number, what is it again? At number six is Quiz Lady. All right. At number five, now we're getting into the top five for this month. At number five is Winged Woman. And I found this to be, personally, I found this to be, actually, you know what? Let me upgrade the score for this movie because honestly, this is a very underrated pick for me. Actually, we'll get into Winged Woman a little bit. I just changed some things around. Hold on. We're going to get into that a little bit. Sorry about that, people. But so at number five, now we're in the top five again. At number five, we have Rustin. And Rustin is a movie that's on Netflix that I saw, and I found this to be a very great, well acted, well showcased drama about really the life of this civil rights activist who wanted to march through Washington to make a statement about, you know, it's based off of the true story of this person who helped out Martin Luther King and others organized the 1963 March on Washington, and it's it's shown beautifully. It's a great, well acted movie. Coleman Domingo could be getting Oscar praise for this movie. Chris Rock is great in this movie. Jeffrey Wright is awesome. Everyone in this movie is great. The performances are great. The cinematography is good. The story itself is awesome. I just wish that it was a little bit better with, getting us to believe in these characters. Because honestly, other than that, I think some of the characters are quite forgettable. And it does go on for, I wish there was a little bit more information given because this is an hour and 48 minutes. So it's a very short biopic. But again, again, the new norm for movies is 2 hours and 34 minutes. So I would have made like 2 hours and 5 minutes, but it's a well-acted film and I enjoyed myself watching this movie. I really did. And if you haven't seen it, watch it right now. At number 4 is Leonardo da Vinci. Just kidding. Leo, the Netflix original animated movie that to me, when I saw this movie, I was just like, okay, it's an Adam Sandler movie. It's animated. Netflix hasn't had a lot of animated films. This is a great film. This is a good movie. It has slick animation, nice voice work, good jokes, very good, funny jokes that I laughed out loud with. It has an uplifting message and wholesome humor, and it's a fun, good paced act or well made animated film. The only issue I have with the movie, and the biggest issue is I did not like any of the musical numbers, which it is a musical, and I hated the musical aspect of it. I thought it could have been a nice, normal animation film, but no, this had to do it. And uh, some of the some of the musical numbers just weren't memorable. They didn't feel good, and I think it damaged this movie. So I think objectively, it's a good movie, but the musical aspect of this film really didn't work, and it's sort of an anticlimactic ending, I would say. All right. Now, because I had to move up Win Woman, I'm going to talk about Win Woman right now. At number 3 is Win Woman. And this is a movie I keep thinking about more and more and more to the point where I might just watch it again and I might just have a good time with it. I think this movie, I not see what the Rotten Tomatoes score on this movie is I thoroughly thought this was a let me see, 69%, 58% audience score. I genuinely enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. It's directed by the star of this movie, Melanie Laurent, and it's kind of like the Charlie's Angels but French. This is what the Charlie's Angels reboot should have been. It's a great action movie. It makes you care about the characters. The sort of humor that they have woven in is great. The cinematography and the shots look great. It's in focus. It's never dull. It's never boring. It all feels good. I just wish that the ending was executed better. And that's what frustrates me. This movie could have had a great ending. And it could have been one of the best movies of the year, in my opinion, but it's not. So I do believe that there are still some something out there that's like this movie could have been great if they just did an ending that's worth it, that's actually sticking with what they wanted to do instead of copping out. But yeah, I thought this was a great film. I thought this was a really good movie, and I think it's one you should check out. One you should check out. At number 2, our runner up is Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain. And I thought this was the second best comedy of the year behind Joyride. I laughed so much. It's so funny. And it's based off of the Please Don't Destroy sketch that's on SNL. They got the three guys together to be like, let's make the movie. And it's awesome. It's funny. It's humorous. I laughed a lot. It's hilarious. The acting's so really good in the movie. I think the problem I have with this film that to me the reason why it's not higher or it's not number 1 is because the the movie side of it, the villain twist, the ending, it all feels really lazily written and I just didn't like it that much, but overall, I laughed a lot. This is a Peacock original, so if you don't have Peacock, sorry, you can't watch this movie, but I do, so that's a win-win for me. It's a win-win. 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 All right. But at number one, for me, the best movie of the month is not The Holdovers, which I do gotta watch. If I do watch it, it might be the best. I've heard so many good things about it. To me, it's The Killer on Netflix. The Killer on Netflix. This is how you do a movie, like a great Netflix original movie. This is how you do it. It's awesome. I absolutely love it. It's so did I get directors that know how to make movies and put that on Netflix so people will be like, "Oh, Netflix does good movies now." That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you make the movie. That's how you get people watching more Netflix movies. That's how you get people excited for more Netflix films. That. And it's so good. It's so, I'm going to say it again, visceral in the way the camera is, the way the narration is talking, the way Michael Fassbender moves his body into this different character, how he makes a scene work. This is how you do it. This is a great, great action thriller directed by the guy who made Seven. It's just it's awesome. The acting, the performances, the visuals, the shots, the messages, the dialogue, everything about this movie is so good. I can't recommend this movie enough. The Killer is the best movie of the month. And I would have seen it sooner, but things had to happen. Things were delayed, so my bad. So there you have it. Killer wins the best movie of the month award, but will it be enough to make it in the top 10? We don't know. That will be in January. First couple weeks of January. That will be the topic. Best movies of the year, worst movies of the year of 2023. Guys, I want to thank you so much. This has been a great semester of me talking to you again about film, about TV. Still waiting on that Wild Season 3 revival. Hopefully it happens. Prime Video. Really hope it does. Whatever. Hopefully you guys liked it. This has been the Western Star Movie Podcast, and I will see you in January. Signing off one more time.